I used to think that a breakdown would be loud. I imagined it like a thunderstorm. Plates smashing against the granite countertops, screaming until my throat bled, a public spectacle in the middle of a crowded grocery store. But that is not how it happens. Not really. A breakdown, I learned, is silent. It is a slow, cold fog that rolls into your brain and refuses to leave. It is standing in the middle of your custom-designed kitchen in an affluent New Jersey suburb, holding a carton of milk and being unable to remember if you bought it yesterday or 3 days ago, because your husband just told you that you never went to the store at all. My name is Nicole. I am 39 years old. To the outside world, I was the woman who had it all. A beautiful colonial house with a manicured lawn. A handsome, successful husband named David, who was a partner at a top law firm. No financial worries. No visible scars. But the scars were there. They were just etched into the gray matter of my brain, carved by thousands of tiny, invisible cuts over 15 years of marriage. It started so subtly that I didn't even notice the first incisions. It was the water torture method of psychological abuse. Drip, drip, a raised eyebrow when I laughed too loud, a heavy sigh when I voiced an opinion, a correction of my memory here, a rewriting of history there. By the time I realized I was drowning, I didn't know which way was up. The day I woke up, the day the fog began to lift, started like any other Tuesday in November. The sky was a bruised purple, the trees stripped bare. I was getting ready for a dinner party we were hosting that evening. David insisted on hosting. He loved an audience. He loved to stand at the head of the table, pouring wine, telling stories, where he was the hero and I was the ditzy, lovable sidekick who couldn't balance a checkbook or remember a simple instruction. I was in the bedroom, staring at the blue dress laid out on the bed. I loved this dress. It was silk, midnight blue, elegant. I felt like myself in it. David walked in, knotting his tie. He stopped, looking at the bed. He didn't frown. He didn't scowl. He just gave a small, pitying chuckle. "What?" I asked, my stomach tightening, the automatic response. The flinch. "Nothing, Nick," he said, turning to the mirror. "It's just, are you sure about that dress? You know how the lighting in the dining room washes you out. You looked so tired last time you wore it. I just want you to look your best. For you. For me. It was always for me. I thought I looked good in this," I said, my voice small. "You said you liked it when I bought it." He turned around, his face a mask of confusion. "Nicole, I never said that. I told you it was a bit tight in the hips. But if you want to wear it, wear it. I just don't want you to feel self-conscious later when you see the photos. You know how sensitive you get." I stood there, frozen. I remembered him saying he liked it. I had a vivid memory of him smiling when I tried it on in the store. But looking at him now, so calm, so sure, so concerned for my well-being, the doubt crept in. Maybe I imagined it. Maybe I was misremembering. I was so tired lately. I was always so tired. "You're right," I whispered. "I'll wear the black one." "Good choice, babe," he said, kissing my cheek. "You always look safer in black." I went to the closet. My hands were shaking. I reached for the black dress, the shapeless one he preferred. But then, my hand stopped. I looked down at my phone on the dresser. I had taken a selfie in the dressing room when I bought the blue dress. I sent it to my sister. I unlocked my phone. I scrolled back 3 months. There it was. Me, in the blue dress, smiling, and underneath, a text I had forwarded to my sister from David. Stunning. Buy it. Put it on the card. Sigh. Stared at the screen. The text was there. It existed. Reality existed. I never said that. He had just told me. He lied. It wasn't a mistake. It wasn't a slip of memory. He looked me in the eye, saw the dress he had told me to buy, and lied to make me feel insecure. To make me change. To make me doubt my own mind. I felt a strange sensation in my chest. It wasn't anger. It wasn't sadness. It was a click, like a key turning in a rusted lock. I put the phone down. I picked up the blue dress, and I put it on. That night at the dinner party, I was an anthropologist observing a strange new species. I watched David. I watched him charm our neighbors, the Millers. I watched him pour the expensive Cabernet with a steady hand. I watched him tell a story about our trip to Italy 5 years ago. Nicole here, he said, gesturing to me with a benevolent smile. Left her passport at the hotel. We nearly missed the flight. I had to bribe the taxi driver to turn around. A total nightmare. But we laugh about it now, right, honey? The table chuckled. Oh, Nicole, someone said. That's so you. I sat very still. My hands were folded in my lap. The silk of the blue dress felt cool against my skin. I hadn't left my passport at the hotel. David had. He had left it in the safe. I was the one who remembered the code, because he had forgotten it. I was the one who spoke enough Italian to explain the situation to the concierge. I saved us. But over the years, he had retold this story so many times, shifting the blame onto me, that I had stopped correcting him. I had started to believe it myself. Maybe I was the scattered one. Maybe I was the burden. Actually, I said. My voice was clear, not loud, but steady. It cut through the laughter like a silver knife. The table went quiet. David turned to me, his smile fixed, but his eyes tightening. What was that, sweetie? I didn't leave the passport, I said, picking up my wine glass. You did. You left it in the safe. I remember, because you used your old fraternity number as the code and couldn't remember if it was 1998 or 1999. It was 1999. The silence stretched. It was uncomfortable. Suburban dinner parties are not built for truth. They are built for pleasantries. David laughed. It was a hollow, brittle sound. Oh, Nicole. You've had a bit too much wine. You're getting mixed up again. It's okay. He looked at the guests with a, what can you do? Shrug. He was signaling them a C. She's unstable. She's rewriting history. Poor me. In the past, I would have flushed red. I would have apologized. I would have backed down. Terrified of making a scene. Terrified of being crazy. But I looked at him, and I didn't see a powerful man. I saw a magician whose trick had failed. I saw a small, petty man terrified of being wrong. Perhaps, I said lightly, taking a sip of wine. Or, perhaps you just prefer the version where you're the hero. I changed the subject to the Miller's kitchen renovation. The conversation moved on. But David didn't look at me for the rest of the night. He was vibrating with a silent, cold rage. I could feel it radiating off him like heat from a pavement. Later, when the guests left and the door clicked shut, the air in the house shifted instantly. The charm evaporated. The monster came out to play. What the hell was that? He hissed, turning on me in the hallway. You embarrassed me. You embarrassed yourself. You sounded delusional. I told the truth. David. The truth. He stepped closer, towering over me. He used his physical presence to intimidate, though he never hit me. He didn't need to. You have no grip on the truth, Nicole. You're losing it. Everyone saw it tonight. Did you see the way Linda looked at you? She pities you. They all do. Linda didn't look pitiful, I said. She looked uncomfortable because her husband was lying. I am worried about you, he said, his voice dropping to that sickeningly fake tone of concern. I really am. You've been so erratic lately. The mood swings. The memory lapses. And now this aggression. I think you need to see Dr. Evans again. Maybe your medication needs adjusting. There it was. The ace in the hole. You're sick. You're broken. You need fixing. I'm not on medication, David, I said. Maybe you should be. He shot back. Because the woman I saw tonight, she's not the woman I married. No, I thought as I looked at him. She's not. The woman you married is dead. You killed her. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just yawned. A genuine, bored yawn. I'm tired, I said. I'm going to bed. You can clean up. I walked up the stairs. I didn't look back. I could feel his eyes boring into my back. Confused, angry. He was waiting for the fight. He needed the fight. He needed my tears to validate his power. When I denied him that reaction, I took the first brick out of his wall. The next few weeks were a game of chess played in silence. I called it the observation phase. I stopped arguing. I stopped defending myself. I applied a technique I had read about online called gray rocking. I became as uninteresting and unreactive as a gray rock. When he tried to provoke me, I gave one-word answers. Okay. I see. That's interesting. It drove him insane. He escalated. He started moving things in the house just to mess with me. My keys would disappear from the hook and reappear in the coat pocket I hadn't worn in a year. The thermostat would be set to 62 degrees, and he would swear he hadn't touched it, claiming I must be having hot flashes due to early menopause. I didn't react. I bought a hidden camera, a tiny cube, smaller than a dice, that I hid in the bookshelf in the living room. I needed proof. Not for the court. New Jersey is a no-fault state, and emotional abuse is hard to quantify in a divorce settlement. I needed proof for me. I needed to know that when I walked out that door, I wasn't the crazy one. I needed to inoculate myself against the doubt he would try to plant in my head later. One evening, I came home from work. I worked part-time at a gallery, a job he constantly belittled as a hobby, and found him sitting at the kitchen island with my bank statements. Nicole, we need to talk, he said gravely. About what? I put my bag down. You spent $400 at Sephora, and another $300 at that boutique. He shook the papers. We agreed to cut back. We have the mortgage refinancing coming up. How can you be so irresponsible? I frowned. I hadn't shopped at Sephora in 6 months. I walked over and looked at the statement. It wasn't my statement. It was a credit card I didn't recognize. The name on the top was cut off. That's not my card. David, I said. Don't lie to me. He slammed his hand on the table. I found it in your desk. You opened a secret account, didn't you? You're hiding debt. This is financial infidelity, Nicole. Do you know how sick this is? My heart hammered. He was gaslighting me on a professional level now. He had printed a fake statement, or found someone else's. Show me the card number, I said calmly. I shredded it. He lied instantly. To protect you. So I wouldn't have to show the accountant what a mess you've made. You shredded the evidence of my alleged spending. I am trying to save us, he yelled. Why can't you just take responsibility? Just say, I'm sorry, David. I messed up. That's all I want. I want an equal partner, not a child I have to police. I looked at him. He was red in the face, a vein bulging in his neck. He was performing. He was creating a crisis so he could be the savior who forgave me, cementing my debt to him. I didn't spend that money, I said. And I think we both know that. You're calling me a liar. His voice dropped to a dangerous whisper. I'm saying you are mistaken, I said. And I'm going to make tea. Do you want some? He stared at me, his mouth slightly open. The script was broken. I was supposed to be crying, begging for forgiveness, promising to do better. You're impossible, he muttered, storming out of the room. You're completely detached from reality. I waited until I heard his office door slam. Then I went to the bookshelf. I retrieved the memory card from the hidden camera. I uploaded the footage to a secure cloud account named The Exit. I watched the video back. I watched him print a document from his laptop, cut the header off with scissors, and place it on the counter before I got home. I wasn't crazy. He was calculating. Seeing it on screen was the final nail in the coffin of my marriage. I didn't feel sad. I felt liberated. I realized that the man I loved didn't exist. He was a character played by a con artist. And the con was over. The preparation for my departure was methodical. I felt like a spy in my own life. I opened a new bank account at a different bank, opting for paperless statements sent to a new, secret email address. I started siphoning cash. $20 here at the grocery store, cash back. $50 there. I sold some of my old designer bags online and had the money sent to a PayPal account he didn't know about. I reached out to an old friend, Jessica. We hadn't spoken in 3 years because David didn't like her. He said she was abrasive and a bad influence. I realized now that she was just one of the few people who saw through him. We met for coffee 2 towns over. I wore sunglasses and kept checking the door. Nick, she said when she saw me. She didn't say anything else. She just hugged me. A real bone-crushing hug. I'm leaving him. I whispered into her coat. Thank God, she whispered back. I need a place to stay. Just for a few days. Until I can get an apartment. I can't let him know where I am. You can stay as long as you want. I have the guest room. I'll give you a key today. I started moving things out slowly. The winter coats went first. He wouldn't notice those in May. Then the books I truly cared about. I took photos of important documents, tax returns, deeds, account numbers. I sent everything to the cloud. The hardest part was the acting. I had to pretend everything was normal. I had to let him win. A few times to lower his guard. You're right, David, I said one night over dinner. I have been forgetful lately. I think I'm just stressed about the gallery. He visibly relaxed. He preened. See, was that so hard to admit? I just want what's best for you, Nick. You need to simplify your life. Maybe quit the gallery. Focus on the house. Focus on us. Maybe, I said. I'll think about it. He reached across the table and squeezed my hand. We're a team. I lead, you follow. That's how it works. That's how we stay strong. I squeezed his hand back. You're right. I looked at his hand. Manicured strong, The ring I had placed on his finger 15 years ago. I felt nothing. No spark, no hate. Just the cold observation of a biological fact. This is a hand holding mine. The date was set. June 15th. A Tuesday. He played golf on Tuesdays with his partners. He would be gone from 100 p.m. to 60 p.m. 5 hours. I didn't want a confrontation. I knew that if I tried to leave while he was there, he would physically block the door, or talk me out of it, or threaten to hurt himself, a tactic he had used once before when I tried to spend a weekend away. He would threaten suicide, then claim I was the one driving him to the edge. No, I would ghost him. It was the only way to win a game against a cheater. You flip the board and walk away. June 15th arrived with a brilliant blue sky. The suburbs of New Jersey were in full bloom. Hydrangeas were bursting in the front yard. Hydrangeas I had planted. I had watered, I had kept alive. I would miss them. David kissed me goodbye at the door. "Don't forget to pick up the dry cleaning," he said, "and make something light for dinner." "I'll be tired." "Okay," I said. "Have a good game." "I always do." He smirked, got into his BMW, and drove off. As soon as his car turned the corner, I moved. I didn't pack everything. I didn't strip the house. I took only what was mine. My clothes, my jewelry, the pieces I had inherited from my grandmother, not the apology gifts he had bought me over the years, my laptop, my art supplies. I moved with a calm efficiency. I had rehearsed this in my mind 1,000 times. I stood in the center of the living room one last time. It was a beautiful house. It was a magazine spread. It was cold and dead. I left the ring on the kitchen island. Next to the ring, I left a small USB drive. It contained one video file, the recording of him faking the credit card statement, and a digital note. I didn't write a long, emotional letter. I knew he would dissect every word, looking for a way to twist it, to prove to himself that I was hysterical or having a breakdown. I wanted to give him nothing to work with. The note read, "I am not crazy. I am not forgetful. And I am not yours anymore. Do not look for me. Any attempt to contact me will be met with a restraining order and the release of the video on this drive to your partners. Goodbye, David." I walked out the front door. I locked it behind me. I dropped the house key into the storm drain on the street. I got into my car, a modest sedan that was in my name, and I drove. I didn't drive fast. I drove at the speed limit. I rolled the windows down. The air rushed in, smelling of cut grass and asphalt. I turned onto the highway. The skyline of New York City appeared in the distance, a jagged gray line against the blue. My phone started buzzing at 6:15 p.m. A David calling. I let it ring. David calling. I let it ring again. Then, I pulled over at a rest stop. I took the SIM card out of my phone. I snapped it in half. I threw the pieces into a trash can. I walked into the convenience store and bought a bottle of water and a bag of gummy bears. I sat on the hood of my car and ate them. They tasted like synthetic sugar and freedom. I wasn't scared. That was the surprise. I thought I would be terrified. I thought I would be paralyzed by the what ifs. What if I run out of money? What if I'm lonely? What if he finds me? But the fear was gone. The fear belonged to the woman in the big house who walked on eggshells. I wasn't her anymore. I was Nicole. I was 39. And for the first time in 15 years, the silence in my head wasn't a fog. It was peace. 6 months later. I live in a small apartment in a town an hour away. It's a walk up. The radiator clanks in the night. The view is of a brick wall and a fire escape. I love it. I work at a community center, teaching art to seniors and kids. The pay is terrible compared to our old life. I clip coupons. I shop at the discount grocery store. I have one pair of good boots. And I have never been happier. Happiness, I realized, isn't the euphoria of a vacation or the thrill of a new purchase. Happiness is the absence of fear. Happiness is waking up in the morning and knowing that the day belongs to you. That no one is going to edit your reality. I met David one last time. It was necessary for the divorce papers. We met in a neutral location. A conference room at my lawyer's office. He looked terrible. He had lost weight. His suit was expensive, but he looked disheveled. The mask had slipped. Without me there to serve as the container for his anxieties and his control, he was unraveling. He needed a victim to function, and I had taken myself off the menu. He tried to charm me first. "Nicole, you look different. Tired. Are you eating enough? Come home. We can fix this. I've booked us a therapist. The best in the city." "No thank you, David," I said, signing the page. Then he tried anger. "You're making a huge mistake. You're throwing away a fortune. You'll be destitute. You'll be nothing without me. I'd rather be nothing than be your version of something," I said, not looking up from the documents. Then, he tried the gaslighting one last time. "You know, everyone thinks you're having a midlife crisis. My partners, your parents. They all think you've lost your mind. I've been protecting your reputation, but I can't keep lying for you." I finally looked up. I looked him deep in the eyes. "David," I said gently, "I don't care." He froze. "I don't care what you tell them," I continued. "Tell them I'm crazy. Tell them I joined a cult. Tell them I was abducted by aliens. It doesn't matter. Because I know the truth. And deep down, in that dark little place you try to hide from the world, you know the truth too." I stood up. I gathered my purse. "You have no power here anymore," I said. I walked out of the office. I walked out into the crisp winter air. It was snowing lightly. The flakes caught in my eyelashes. I didn't look back at the building. I didn't wonder what he was doing. I walked toward the subway station. I had a date that night. Not with a man, but with myself. I was going to a museum. Then I was going to eat Thai food straight from the carton. And then I was going to paint until 3 in the morning, if I wanted to. I took a deep breath. The air was cold, sharp, and real. I was Nicole. I was free. And that was the best story I had ever written. Postscript. Sometimes, late at night, I think about the women who are still in the houses. The women who are walking on eggshells. The women who are being told they are crazy, or sensitive, or forgetful. I want to tell them that the fog isn't real. It's a smoke machine. Someone is plugging it in. Someone is refilling the tank. If you are reading this, and you feel that cold dread in your stomach, when you hear the garage door open, trust it. If you find yourself recording your own life, just to prove you exist, trust it. If you are happier when he is gone than when he is home, trust it. You are not crazy. You are just in a war you didn't know you were fighting. But the good news is, you can win. You don't win by fighting back. You don't win by screaming louder. You win by leaving the battlefield. I am sitting by my window now. The radiator is hissing. My cat is asleep on the rug. I have less money than I ever had, and yet, I am the richest woman in the world. I own my mind. I own my memories. I own my future. And the silence, it's not empty anymore. It's full of music.